When most people think about surviving in extreme cold, they picture high-tech sleeping bags, insulated tents, or modern down jackets. But real survival in freezing conditions doesn't start with gear. It starts with necessity, improvisation, and an intimate understanding of how heat, wind, and human endurance interact. During World War II, soldiers in Europe's frozen forests and mountains faced nights so bitter that modern sleeping bags would have failed long before exhaustion did. The difference between life and death wasn't comfort. It was a brutally simple system built on one principle: trap heat, block wind, and survive until morning. Before we dive into the techniques, take a moment to support the channel. Hit that like button if you appreciate deep historical survival knowledge. Share this video with a friend who respects real-world survival lessons. Leave a comment with your thoughts and subscribe to Warfront Survival for more insights drawn directly from history's harshest conditions. The reality of winter survival in wartime was uncompromising. Modern sleeping bags are designed for controlled conditions. They rely on dry ground, lofted insulation, and sleeping pads to keep heat from escaping. Soldiers rarely had the luxury of any of these. Wool could absorb moisture and lose heat down insulation collapsed when wet, and men often slept directly on frozen or waterlogged terrain. Cold-weather sleeping bags issued by armies were heavy, cumbersome, and frequently abandoned during rapid advances or retreats. Most importantly, insulation alone couldn't stop wind. A single gust could carry away heat faster than layers could replace it. Soldiers quickly discovered that controlling airflow mattered more than piling on layers. From this necessity came one of the most effective improvised survival systems of the era, the shelter tube. The World War II shelter tube wasn't a manufactured product. It was a battlefield innovation that saved lives. Soldiers used shelter halves, ponchos, or canvas tent pieces to create a cylindrical cocoon. Two men would button or lace their shelter halves together, wrap themselves fully clothed, and seal the ends with packs, snow, or extra clothing. This formed a dead airspace, where body heat was trapped and wind blocked. Snow piled on top acted as insulation rather than a threat. German mountain troops perfected this method with the Zeltbahn, a triangular canvas that could be joined into long tubes. American mountain divisions and Soviet troops adapted similar systems, sometimes partially burying tubes in snow to stabilize internal temperatures. The result was crude, but astonishingly effective. Inside temperatures often rose above freezing even when the outside air remained far below. The shelter tube outperformed traditional sleeping bags because it addressed the three main enemies of cold wind, conduction, and evaporation. Sleeping bags primarily managed conduction, but tubes allowed soldiers to sleep fully dressed, including boots. Frozen footwear could immobilize a soldier in the morning, so keeping boots on was essential. Condensation formed on the inner fabric rather than soaking insulation, and it could be aired out during the day or tolerated as part of survival. Tubes also scaled efficiently. 2 soldiers produced more heat than 1, and 3 could share even greater warmth. This principle, heat generation rising faster than heat loss, is often overlooked in modern survival thinking. Military manuals and veterans confirm that shelter tubes repeatedly saved lives in extreme cold. Translating this knowledge into modern survival practice is surprisingly straightforward. You don't need World War II canvas to replicate the system. Any tarp, poncho, or heavy fabric can work, but shape is critical. Flat tents or coverings lose heat, while a cylindrical tube traps it. In freezing conditions, if you find yourself without a sleeping bag, roll a tarp or blanket lengthwise into a cylinder wide enough to crawl inside. Overlap the seams instead of tying them flat. Seal the ends with snow, dirt, or whatever gear is available. Elevate yourself from the ground using spruce boughs, spare clothing or folded jackets to reduce conductive heat loss. Keep your boots and hat on and, breathe slowly to manage moisture. Sharing the tube with a companion multiplies efficiency, but if alone, reduce the internal volume as much as possible to retain heat. So, why has this system largely been overlooked by recreational survival culture? Comfort. Tubes are awkward, unattractive, and, undeniably uncomfortable. Soldiers didn't care about aesthetics. They cared about waking up alive. The tube enforces discipline, no unnecessary movement, no sprawling. Discomfort becomes a tool for survival, a lesson that modern gear marketing often ignores. Studying historical improvisations, like the World War II shelter tube, demonstrates that survival isn't about buying more expensive equipment. It's about understanding physics, human physiology, and environmental interactions. Soldiers who endured winter campaigns weren't warmer because of sleeping bags. They were warmer because they knew how to work with the elements. Whether you are a history enthusiast, a prepper, or fascinated by the extremes humans endure, the shelter tube teaches resourcefulness, discipline, and the science of staying alive in freezing conditions. This isn't nostalgia. It's field-tested wisdom that has saved countless lives. If this exploration into historical survival techniques resonates with you, make sure you subscribe to Warfront Survival. Share this video with someone who still believes survival is about buying gear rather than building systems. Leave a comment with your own experiences or insights. History isn't just a story. It's a guide for surviving the cold when mistakes are unforgiving.